Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World Daily with me, John Jordan. So the daily news today sort of been happening actually for the last couple of days, but really accelerated over the weekend. And that's AXIE Infinity is really kind of starting to take off. And we sort of covered that, went into quite a deep dive into the kind of economics of what's going on there last week. But we've just seen acceleration, and particularly when we see kind of acceleration like this. At some point it filters through to the value of the highest ranked sort of assets in the game or in the NFT collection, depending on what it is. And we really see I guess this kind of plays into a sort of a winner take all kind of scenario. So if a NFT game or an NFT collection starts to gain users, obviously most people come in at the bottom end, so the price kind of starts to kind of rise at the kind of the entry level point, but then when it gets to a certain level, it starts to attract sort of the big money, and certainly of a blockchain, sort of an open blockchain game like AXIE Infinity. Then obviously you're kind of running on the assets here on the Ethereum blockchain now moved over to their Ronin sidechain, but that's very kind of Ethereum based as a blockchain. You can start to see big players start to come in. So for whatever reason, people who haven't got interested in the game or the NFT project before start to pile in. So I've just seen this just on my Twitter feed just today. Someone coming in and buying three MYSTIC Axies and a MYSTIC Axie land. Someone else has just sold five MYSTIC lands for $100,000. So we're starting to see this sort of level of kind of value kind of coming into the system. So I thought it's worth having a look. So I'm at Crypto Slam. And we can see here, this is looking at what happened over the last 24 hours. So AXIE Infinity is at the top, $15.5 million worth of sales. So this is now just looking at what's going on the Ronin blockchain, which is the L2 solution that AXIE Infinity have created themselves. Basically, you can it's pretty easy to transition your Ethereum-based NFTs as they originally were over to Ronin. At the top end, I don't think that's happened to all the assets, so that may be driving kind of the velocity in particular, because we're now seeing sort of the assets split across two different blockchains. I'll talk about that a bit later, but you can just see here, so $15.5 million in the last 24 hours, 12,500 buyers. So we'd also see, compared to other projects that we know quite a lot about, CryptoPunks, Meebits, NBA Top Shot, there's still decent sort of revenues going through here, but AXIE Infinity is it's almost a order of magnitude above. Last 7 days, pretty much seeing the same sort of thing. AXIE Infinity 77 million over the last week. This is trading volume. This is people coming in and buying Axies that are on the marketplace. Obviously, or not obviously, but the AXIE Infinity, the as a project, is getting 4.25% of these transactions going into its treasury. So you can kind of do the maths on that. Millions of dollars going into that treasury. And over 30 days, again, $165 million worth of value, 78,000 buyers there. Obviously, most of these buyers are going in at the bottom end of the market, but we can kind of, we can get a feel of the velocity. So 165 over 30 days, 77 over a week. So obviously, this is 165 over 30 days, 77 over 7 days. So divide by 10 again. Divide by 7 is already getting about 11 million. And then we can see it's actually accelerating. So over the last 24 hours, 15.5 million. So that's more than was happening on average over the 7 or the 30-day period. All time, it's still a bit of a way off. So NBA Top Shot obviously had a massive boom, sort of January, February, March. Total $650 million worth of trading value across 315,000 buyers. CryptoPunks, still, that's been a project's been around for the longest, and has some very, very high end assets there, millions of dollars. So $372 million lifetime, but actually, it's not that far off, $26 million. And when these projects get velocity, then you can start to see these changing positions, and we can see it's a long way. These three are a long way ahead. Well, certainly Top Shop's a long way ahead, but nothing else has broken 100 million. Even though some of these are quite successful projects, I count anything in this top 10 as fairly successful, doing tens of millions of dollars worth of trading value. So that's what's going on in terms of that. Let's have a quick look at the AXIE Marketplace and pick out some trends from there. So this is just we can see the marketplace here. So this is set to the cheapest, the lowest price AXIEs. We could any breed count, but I think they're all the same because all 0 breed count. These are AXIEs that haven't been born yet. So they're showing as little sort of eggs. So the cheapest AXIEs currently $200. Obviously, this is based on an ETH price. So obviously, as the price of ETH goes up or down, that sort of changes the dollar price. But $200, that is the most expensive I've ever seen it. We were sort of moaning not that long ago when it hit $100 because you need 3 AXIEs to play the game. So at the moment, you need to spend $600 to even get the 3 AXIEs you need if you want to kind of play it from that kind of starting point. Obviously, if you just want to buy an NFT just to own it and not play it, you can do that. But so that's the low end of the market. If we go to kind of the sort of higher end, we can see the kind of the first kind of scarcity ceiling is Origin AXIEs. So I think there's about kind of 4,000 of those Origin AXIEs, and we can see here the cheapest ones are now kind of that's the ones under 4,000. Then we're into 5,500. Into 7,000. So with all these sort of things, there's a lowest price, what we call the floor price. That's if you just want to go in and buy one, that's what it is. And then there's different variations, and maybe people might want certain types of AXIEs because they have different characteristics. So there may be some other stuff going on there. You have serial numbers, so obviously lower serial numbers. Generally, this one is serial number 576. So that's going to go for be generally seen as more expensive than 3,091. So again, an entry level point, 4,000 is sort of where it's been over the last week or so. But we can see here there's only one under 4,000, and then we're very rapidly going up to 5.5, 7. So we can see here that that compared to a week ago, very quickly you're getting into sort of if these sell through, you're getting into sort of double what the price was sort of last week. Have a quick look to see how many are. So we've got 1,110. In the Origins. I think there's actually, so this is an interesting point, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but at the moment this marketplace is just running on the Ronin blockchain, so everything here is on the Ronin blockchain. I think there are in total about over 4,000 Origin AXIEs. Or that's the sort of that's the maximum supply. Obviously, a whole bunch of these are still on the Ethereum blockchain. So my reading of this is there's about a quarter of the of all the AXIE NFTs, Origin NFTs available. About a quarter of them are on the Ronin blockchain. So you can imagine 3/4 are on Ethereum because people haven't transitioned them over. So I think this is also, we're in a kind of a driving, an increased valuation market for the AXIE in general. It's increasing users at the sort of bottom end. And because it's also done this transition, so this sort of move to Ronin, it means there's actually there's demand's going up, and we've actually artificially cut supply by 75%. So I think this is particularly driving pricing at the moment, because there's just the market has been split between Ethereum and Ronin. So I think that potentially obviously not investment advice, but I would say probably at the moment we're seeing a slight over enthusiastic sort of pricing mechanic, because if all the AXIEs on the Ethereum blockchain were moved over to the Ronin blockchain, there would be a much greater sort of supply. So obviously supply demand, we'd expect kind of pricing to go down. Now, what's interesting is will the increase in pricing of these higher end assets sort of encourage people who haven't up to this point moved their assets over to Ronin to start doing that? You'd think that would be sort of what's happening if people have got their assets. You could be selling them on OpenC, which doesn't support Ronin as far as I know. So people could be selling these AXIEs on Ethereum, on OpenC, and there still might be some volume there as well. But if you're taking these into the game, they need to be on the Ronin blockchain. So maybe we'll have a quick look at OpenC in a minute actually, and see what's going on there. And really the headline stuff here is these MYSTIC AXIEs. So this is the cheapest. You can have AXIEs. There's no six-part AXIEs. I think the most that have been bred are the quad AXIEs. Not many though, a handful of those. But when we have the kind of the cheapest, most expensive AXIEs, I should say, are these kind of one part mystics. And again, if we look here, there should be about 1,000 of these in total, a bit more than a bit more than 1,000. So to me, it seems like 50% are not available, because here we're selecting all. So about 50% are on the Ethereum blockchain and 50% are on the Ronin blockchain. And if we look to see what actually the number that are actually on sale of this kind of 500, there's only 31 on sale. Starting price $57,000 for 26 ETH. I mean, as I say, when I looked a day ago, more like kind of 40,000. And again, this is just the floor price. So when we start kind of looking at if that one sort of sells out, where does the price move? You know, we very quickly go from under 60,000 to over 70,000, and then from there onto 100,000. So again, I think this is a slightly artificial price, because half of these assets are still being held on the Ethereum blockchain rather than the Ronin blockchain. And obviously, it may be probably sensibly in this case. These are always always known to be very high end assets, and the Ronin blockchain is obviously something that's fairly new. So you know, it may be kind of logical for people who own these very high end assets to go, thank you very much, I'll keep them on the Ethereum blockchain, because I don't want to sell them at the moment. You know, maybe people are keeping these for, like, you know, keeping these as a 10-year asset, or, you know, some people 100-year asset or something like that. So it makes sense to keep it on the most secure blockchain you've got, rather than bring it over to Ronin. But I think that's what's driving price, because now when people are coming in, if they're coming into the Ronin blockchain to buy up these assets, then you know, this is the price they've got. And now AXIE Infinity is getting to that level where if you're like a, you know, a crypto whale, so to speak, and you've sort of, you know, you collected your way through kind of CryptoPunks and I don't know, Meebits and Bad Bored Ape Yacht Club and all these other kind of funky NFTs, and you haven't got an AXIE yet, then you're coming in and you've got the assets to come in and start buying some of these and building up a collection. So let's just have a quick look at OpenC and see what the price differential there is. And yeah, so actually when we look on OpenC, there's not, I don't think, any trading going on. So I've been kind of playing around with it, and if we go here, I've found a Mystic here. But if we go on here, it sort of says Axies found a new home on Ronin, migrate your Axies. So it seems like that you know, the activity has gone to the Ronin blockchain, but there are people haven't transitioned them all over. So all the marketplace liquidity has gone over to Ronin. But there's no there's no kind of activity. People aren't buying them on OpenC. I'm still not quite sure if that's because presumably they still are an Ethereum NFT. So I'm not quite sure why that's that. People aren't trading them on there. It could be, I don't know if it's for technical reasons or whether it's for liquidity reasons that all the liquidity's gone on to Ronin. But it seems to be that has sort of, I think, driven the price particularly high. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. But generally, I think we have to say, you know, what happens with blockchain games is, and actually has been around for, you know, over 3 years. My personal view is you can't tell exactly when these projects are going to see this kind of take off growth. But generally, with a decent kind of blockchain implementation, you know that when growth happens, it does happen very, very quickly. I guess, you know, the prime example I think was NBA Top Shot, which you know, was knocking around for, you know, 6 months or so before it sort of gained kind of mass appeal, and you know, kind of went through the roof in January, February, March, and then prices kind of refound some sort of stability. So it probably dropped kind of 60-70% from peak market down to where it is now, where it's, you know, still a very successful project. And generally, I think that's kind of what we see happening. So there's a slight kind of market over exuberance when these things get big. It's not to say that AXIE has kind of reached its peak yet. I mean, I think there is a particular thing about the Ronin kind of transition that's kind of adding something into the system. But also with AXIE, you've got a lot more going on there. So you've got the kind of token pricing, you've got people extracting value from play to earn, and there's a lot more moving parts in that than just a kind of NFT collectible. So I would think the market would sort of sustain for longer, and hopefully we won't get that slightly ridiculous sort of bubble thing that tends to have been happening in any NFT system. We even saw it in CryptoPunks as well. So hopefully the gaming side of this will sort of flatten it out, flatten the curve, a different use of the term, but definitely something to be keeping an eye on. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is Blockchain Gaming World. where I certainly are keeping an eye on all this stuff that's going on. Fascinating. Hope you subscribe to the channel. Hope you find it interesting too. But see you again soon.